Welcome to the Clark Connection podcast. It is great to be with you here. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. You know me. And man, do we have a wonderful episode in store for you guys today. That we have the owner of Hubbard Flooring Studios, Vicki Hubbard. And we're going to go through and talk about Vicki's journey going from just being the secretary, a part-time intern over the summer, to now owning that Hubbard Flooring Studios. And we're going to cover a lot of stuff in between that. But before we get to that, I got to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. We've got Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, and Joseph with Landscape Kings. And look, guys, all of their contact information, it is listed below. It's in the description. Hit them up. Tell them Coach Clark sent them your way. They've got some special deals for my listeners, my followers. And if you're looking to get connected with me, hit me up on all social media at Coach_A Clark. So Coach_A_Clark. Also, we just got the Clark Connection podcast has its own social media platforms as well. So come find us at Clark Connection Podcast. We're on social media. Hit me up. You can also connect via my website. And so if you're looking for any of that coaching or you're wanting to do training, then make sure you hit subscribe to the podcast. That way you get all of this information. And so what you've been waiting for, Vicki Hubbard, the owner of Hubbard Flooring Studios. She's been the owner now for 6 years. Again, wonderful story. And we're going to get into it a little bit later. She's been with the company for over 30 years. She played college softball at Ranger Junior College in Texas. And they finished both years that she was there, second in the Women's College World Series. She earned a trip to Washington, D.C. for the National Mother and Daughter Bowling Competition. And she has also been a coach of softball for over 10 years. So let's go ahead and get connected with Vicki.
This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Alrighty, and welcome to the show, Vicki.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Want to learn a little bit more about you and your business, and so tell us what does Hubbard Flooring Studios do?
We are a full-service floor covering store, and what that means is we install just about everything that we sell. We do backsplashes, carpet, vinyl, sheet vinyl. A lot of people are getting out of carpet and vinyl just because they don't have any installers. Well, we've gone to the right places and found the right installers so we can keep our sheet vinyl and carpet going. We also do job-built showers and bathroom remodels, which I love to do that because it's like everybody's dream is to have this beautiful master bathroom. And so they sort of tell me what they want and how they want to do it, and we pretty much make their dreams come true. We do wood floors, ceramic, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so anything dealing with floors, Vicki is the person to talk to.
Yes.
Hit her up. Awesome. And so now, when you say sheet vinyl, what exactly is sheet vinyl?
Sheet vinyl has not been used in a really long time, but it is still available. A lot of people probably had it in their kitchen way back in the day. But it's just like right now we're selling planks and tiles of vinyl, which everybody wants. But it's a roll. You can get it in tile looks. You can get it in wood looks. Anything, just like the vinyl planks and tiles that you get now. But it comes in a roll, so it's actually one sheet, and you lay it, and it's a one total sheet instead of individual planks and tiles.
All right, and so. And you can make that look like hardwood floor or tile or whatever you want it to. Okay, yeah. Cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd mentioned backsplash, just in case they're not familiar with the backsplash. What is the backsplash you're talking about?
Well, now a lot of people are going with granite and quartz countertops, and so they have to put something behind, like their stove and sinks and stuff, on the backsplash of the kitchen. And we go in and we help them design it, or they just want something simple. We pretty much do just a kitchen backsplash, to enhance their granite and their floors.
No, that's pretty cool. And so if I were to come there and wanting to do something like that, like where, I mean, I would honestly wouldn't even know where to start. Where would
A lot of people don't know where to start, so don't feel bad about that. So what I always tell people, come in and look, and let's get an idea. And if you look through magazines and you saw a picture that you might like or some colors that you might like, but you're not really sure on how to make it come to life, bring those. I love seeing pictures because that means that you sort of know the route that you're going. And so we find something in the showroom, and I'll let you bring samples home to make sure that the colors are right. A lot of times I have to come out and measure it. So you bring the samples home. I come out and measure it whenever I'm there. I help with colors if you need it. And then I also pick up the samples and bring them back. So you don't have to worry about all that.
Okay. And do you ever have anybody that's like, no, I don't want you in my home right now. I don't even know if I'm buying with you yet.
Yes, a lot of people do say that. And like let's say they're remodeling and their house is a mess. They're like, I don't want you in, da da da. And I'm like, all I need to do is stick my arm in the door because I have a laser measurer, so I don't really need to see everything. But and if they don't want me in the home, I'm like, bring me your measurements as close as you can get, because a square room is a square room. If it's a 10 by 10, it's 100 square feet. We have everything that we sell is sold by the square foot. So we can pretty much give a price without going out. But if you do want to go with this, I do go take physical measurements. I do have to go look at the job.
Yeah, and one that I left off of your resume is she can do math in her head on the spot, guys.
10 by 10 is 100. Yes.
I was like, man, they were mathing. I mean,
that's about as high as it goes, though. So don't go any bigger than that.
So don't throw any weird numbers out. Gotcha.
No, if it's a 14 by 14, no, I cannot figure that. No, not in my head.
Well, you subtract the 3, and then you move the 4, and you add
and
in.
Divide it.
You know what? So where's my calculator?
Where's the calculator?
I never have in my pocket. Here it is.
Well, you say that whenever I moved locations from my old store, I had that handheld, calculator. Well, right here, and it did the tape and printed everything. And my daughter's like, Mom, they don't do that anymore. I'm like, well, what do y'all do? Well, it's on your computer. And I'm like, how? How do I do this? And so she's like, Mom, here it is. Oh, and it even lists like the rooms, and I can look over here and make sure I didn't make a mistake. And yeah, so now I don't have the calculator on my desk anymore.
Oh, nice.
I know.
I'll say get some clear space. That's one thing I'm not going to show everybody is how unclear my desk space is.
Well, if you walked into my desk, you're like, you didn't have room for your calculator.
Well, of course you did. You just put it on top of the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great paperweight.
Now it would be. Now I have a computer calculator
back
on my screen.
Bring back the calculator.
Yeah, and then whenever I saw this big thing, whenever I showed her, because I told her, I said, do you need this? Because I had one in a box, believe it or not, I had one on my desk. One in a box has never been used. And I said, do you need this at your shop? And she's like, what is that? I'm like, okay, I'm really showing my age.
Man, those youngsters.
I know. Yeah, right? Yeah, I even took 10 key or whatever, 9 key in college.
Yes.
It was a whole class.
Yeah, I ran across some of those because we also own Delta College, and I was like, all right, y'all got to tell me what this is. And they were talking me through what 10 key and 9 key were, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that would have been really, like, cutting edge at that time.
Yes, it was.
And they were like, you're making fun. I'm like, no, this is actually really cool. We should hold on to this. Like,
we had to time it. Like, we had to time it and make sure that we were getting it. And yeah, it was timed. It was a whole thing.
Yes. And that's what I told
whole semester class.
Like, we've even still got like some of the very first typewriters that like we taught lessons on. So I'm like, don't ever get rid of those. I said, those are cool. They're good talking pieces. People come in and they're like, whoa, I hadn't seen one of those, or I hadn't seen one of those in years.
We had to take typing, and well, I did. I don't know if it was I think it was an elective, but we did. We took typing, and Miss McCleary was my typing teacher, and I remember like, put your fingers down. You can't look at this, and I'm like, yeah, I have to. I'm not good. Now I can type really well, but yeah, back then it was a typewriter was, yeah, you had to feed the paper.
Yep.
I would imagine that in a couple of years, maybe not a couple, maybe my daughter's grandkids, like they're not even going to know how to write with a pencil. I really don't.
They might not.
Yeah, because I mean, they text everything on their phone, and they type everything, and then I don't know. And we now electronic sign stuff.
Yeah, so we could have our own secret language. We'll write in script and put it on paper, fold it, and put to Vicki from Aaron.
Yeah, that was our emails back then. Take yes or no.
I'll get my friends to pass it over to you.
They're never going to be able to enjoy that. Never.
Please don't let the teacher see that this is going across, because they are going to read that out loud.
Yes.
Oh, man. So, all right. So how did you get into the flooring business?
Well, my nephew and Steve's son, Clark, played football and baseball together. So we were always together with Steve Hubbard. And his wife was ill at the time. She had brain tumors, and so she was helping him at the time. And he went to my sister actually and asked my sister, hey, are you looking for a job? And she's like, no, I'm not, but my sister is. And I was actually just going to sit out a semester of Southeastern and go back, because I was just burnt out, and I was just like, okay, I need a break. And I said, yeah, I'll go to work for you. I said, but I'm coaching competitive softball, and we travel just about every weekend. Can I have off, from Friday to maybe sometimes on a Monday? He's like, yeah, I just need somebody in here helping me. And at the time he was still installing, he was still estimating. And so he said, here, sell floors, throws me into the showroom. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. I mean, okay. So he said, if you ever get in a bind, and I talked to the same story to people at convention 2 weeks ago, but he said, if you ever get in a bind, just tell him I put it in my house and you'll sell it. I'm like, okay. So I'm showing, I want carpet, and don't know anything about carpet. I know you put fuzzy side up and that's about it, and I'm like, this is carpet, and this is a brown, and this is a white, and this is it. And I could see him struggling a little bit, and I'm like, oh, but Steve has this one in his house. They're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's the one I want then. So the sale was easy, but then I had to start learning, the difference in the carpet. I say back then it was easy because it was all nylon. Just about all carpet was made from nylon. Okay. Then they brought in some polyesters, and then they brought in all of this. But wood to me was probably the hardest thing to understand, because when people would walk in, they were like, I want a hardwood. And I said, well, all the wood is hardwood, but why they have to make it, we call it an engineered hardwood, because in South Louisiana, everybody wants it glued down. Well, you can't glue down a solid in South Louisiana or anywhere that I know of, because it's so moist and everything will cup. So they had to engineer it sort of like a plywood so they could glue it down. So then whenever I first started, there was a 3-ply, and then they came out with a 5-ply. And I'm like, why do you need 5-ply? And it was just, yeah. So it was a lot. And then our ceramic section was probably a 10 by 10 area. So it was super small. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And we had to add on a room at the old store. This is on Tom Drive whenever I first started, Tom and Airway. And so we had to add on a ceramic room is what we called it. So we had a carpet, vinyl, ceramic.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so started off just as like, hey, I need somebody to help me in the store.
Mm-hmm.
That all the way now to owner of
Yeah.
the company. That's such a cool story. Like,
It's been crazy.
how did that like? What was your progression through that as far as like going from? I think you told me you're like, yep, I was basically just the receptionist and would
Yeah.
sell stuff occasionally, and then
Yeah.
like what was
Well,
the
I mean,
progression?
I just started learning and, hiring different people to help. And so, and our employees, like our installers, were really helpful. Like they helped me a lot. Just learning, different glues and different, trims and just, I mean, you think it's just a floor, but there's a lot that goes into it. Um, different pads for carpet, different pads for laminate, different, just a lot. And every time I'm not afraid to ask any questions because I feel like I'm always learning, even today. That, yeah, just learning and just kicking back and absorbing everything that I possibly could. And then, whenever Steve's first wife passed away, and then he got sick about 6 years ago, and he couldn't really work anymore. Well, at that point, I was like, okay, I need an income, and this is all I know. Like I said, I was going to sit out a semester in high school, and here I am. So I said, I have to learn this. I have to figure out what I'm going to do. And so I just kept pushing through, kept doing my everyday thing. And Steve was still doing the estimates. But then I brought Joe in, who is like my brother. He was working with Steve before I even started, so he was basically like my brother, and he passed away 3 years ago. And whenever he passed away, and Steve wasn't working with me anymore, I was just like, "What do I do? What at this point? What do I do?" And I decided that I needed the school across the street bought our old building. And so we moved to this new location, Boylan. And I think it was the best thing that I've ever done because now I can walk out in the showroom and like touch everything that I'm selling. I know what's in here. The other showroom was 3,700 square feet. It was huge. And
Oh
just
wow.
me, yeah, just me, it was a lot. And so, yeah. And I have Sandra is she's my person. Like she helps me with my office. She helps me keep organized. She keeps me straight, whatever. Yeah. But when Joe passed away, it was really hard because he was my go-to at this point, and, she would bring me, he was installing also. So she would bring me jobs and she's like, we have to schedule these. And I was like, I can't schedule them. I want Joe to do them. So it did take me about 3 months to get over that and say, okay, he'd want me to go forward. So
Yeah. And so what would you say was the biggest struggle right out the gate? That once it was like, hey, I've gone from just being the person who kind of just mainly runs the office to now I run the show. What was the biggest that
I know
struggle?
you're going to think this is crazy, and probably a lot of people out there are going, how did you not know this? But actually knowing that I wasn't going to be able to just come in and get a paycheck from Steve Hubbard Floor Covering, that I was going to have to work a lot harder to get a check from Steve Hubbard Floor Covering.
But that's a big one. So a lot of people don't think, I think a lot of people when they go into their own business or go to work for themselves, they don't realize that, oh, wow, this is how hard my boss had to work.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it.
No.
Like, that's why
And
they
you're not
tell me
only
that, Sandra.
you're not feeding yourself, I'm feeding Sandra. I'm feeding her, her husband works, but then I'm feeding Joe and his family, and I'm feeding Bill and his family. I'm feeding like all of our installers. So if I sit back and I don't work, there's a lot of people that depend on me to make sure that I'm selling jobs and getting stuff done.
Yeah. And that's like so I know I tell people this all the time whenever I'm working with clients and they're like, oh, but this person over here and, I mean, I guess it's not personal. It's just business. And I'm like, no, you've got 10 plus employees. who depend on you to make that happen, it is personal because they got mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And so when you got somebody not doing their job, it is personal.
Mm-hmm. And what's crazy about it is whenever we, like people, oh, I'm just going to go, like, not like family friends or, distant family friends or whatever. They're like, oh, I'm just going to go to Home Depot. And I laugh about it all the time because I'm like, well, you just took food off of my daughter's table. And they're like, oh, no, I didn't. But they did. Initially, they did because especially like I'm not a big box store person. I hate the big box stores, and especially when they go there, because like how many times are you going to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Mr. Home Depot, your installer just peeled out in my grass, you know what I'm saying, or just stuff like that, or not peeled out but went across my grass. It's just like they're not going to be able to call. And the people at big box stores, and maybe I shouldn't have said the name, but at big box stores, they just go in, they pick a paycheck up and they go home. They're not invested. And I feel like, smaller companies and mom and pop stores, they're invested. They have to be invested, especially me, because this is all I know. It's not like I'm going to go, I don't know, do something. I don't know.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah. And I mean, those are all good points that you're talking, Vicki. And so guys, if you found value in this so far, make sure you go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, follow button right here. That way we can continue to bring more great content to you. And then one thing that you said, Vicki, that I think is so important that you said when you took over is that you weren't afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that you think most people are afraid to ask questions?
I really think that they feel like that they feel dumb. They don't feel, being in the business of 31 years, you would think I would know everything about it, but I don't, and, I think people are scared and then they end up doing it wrong and then you have to redo it. And yeah, I think they're scared to ask questions because they don't want to be judged, I guess.
Right. And it is, I think that's right. That's one of the things that people are scared of is like, oh, what will they think if I don't know the answer to this? What happens when they walk away and you're supposed to do something and you didn't get clarity on that and you do the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Now you've wasted your time, effort, and energy.
I had a customer tell me the other day, I was at her house and I was just, going through the spiel of what's going to happen when we come out and blah, blah, blah. And I, at the end, do you have any questions? She's like, believe it or not, you have covered every single thing that I need to know. And I appreciate that. She said, I had a list of questions, and before I even asked them, you covered them. And I was like, well, sometimes I forget. So if there's anything that you need, let me know or ask anything, So I think that I do try to explain to the customer, everything that's going to happen. Because, it is. And I tell women this all the time. Women's job in society, I guess, is to take care of the house. A man's job is to to bring the income in, but a woman's job is to make sure the house and the nest is secure and everybody's happy. And when we go in and we disrupt her house, it's very stressful, very stressful. And I try my best to ease them in and say, if you're doing your whole house, let's come in and do 4 rooms at a time or 3 rooms or, give you a breather and come back, so we definitely try to work with whatever the situation is.
Yeah. And those are all good points. I think it takes a strong leader to be okay with not knowing everything. Mm-hmm. It's something that you have to be comfortable with yourself to know that, hey, I'm Aaron. This is who Aaron is. I don't know flooring, so I'm going to ask a lot of questions to Vicki because Vicki knows flooring.
Yeah. Well, I call all the time, and they're like, I got a call yesterday, and they're like, do you want to use urethane glue or a hybrid? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, are you serious? Like, now I have to learn what a hybrid glue is?
I was about to ask that. I was like, hold on. What's the difference between urethane and hybrid?
I think it's called something else, but I think he's just throwing a wrench at me, thinking, oh, this is really going to mess with her. Yeah. So.
Well, if it didn't mess with you, it messed with me.
Sir, we're going to use hybrid glue on your floors today.
No.
Is it going to work as good?
No, you aren't lying about that. That is, whew,
Yeah.
all the different stuff you got to come up with and find.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And so, all right, now, like, let's say if I was just kind of shopping around and I'd talk with you and I wanted to see that, like, you'd mentioned about bringing home some samples.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I wasn't sure exactly like what style of sample or what style of floor I would want? Is there something else that I could do to get that?
I tried my best to listen to the customer and see their situation. And because a lot of people just think, oh, well, I need this kind of floor. And then whenever they start telling me their situations and what's going on in their house, I'm like, well, this floor probably isn't going to last as long as you want it to. But let's see what this one is, and let me try to get my best to get you in the budget. Or, that's what I try to do. I just try to listen to them the best I can and try to get them going in the right direction.
Okay. And so, like, I think you had mentioned something like, was there a sample or something like that I could, like, visual, like you were talking about, like if I took a picture of my house or.
Oh yeah. So we have on our website, Hubbard Flooring Studio, we have a, like if you brought me in a picture of your, like, this is the area that I'm doing and it's a 10 by 10 area. So, I could upload, you could what?
I said, which is 100 square feet.
Yes, 100 square feet. But you can either email it to me, or if you have it on your phone, email it to me, and we can pull it up. See the thing right there? Like,
Yes.
if you're not really sure how, that's a TV, by the way. If you're not really sure how it's going to look, I can pull up a room visualizer. So if you think you want dark floors, I can put your picture of your room on the TV and plug in different floors. And we can actually see, we can turn the different directions. We can do all kinds of stuff with it on there.
Right. And so I'm about to pull up, I think you'd sent me an example.
Yes.
So like on here, and this is all from your website that you'd sent that picture of your floor. So if I decided I wanted to see what dark is, let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, say it really makes puppy.
Yeah. Yeah, you want puppy color in that picture. But actually this picture up by the it's two different floors. So you have a wood floor and a ceramic. So it's going to actually show the floor all over. Like a lot of people are, see where the bar stool is? Or I know it's a bar stool, but that's ceramic. And then the rest of it's wood. So it's actually covering the whole floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So like
the only bad thing about it, like if you have a rug and you take a picture, the rug is going to sort of make it crazy. So if you could like pull up the rug or move the rug over a little bit and take a picture of the floor. Now you can take a picture, back away and take a picture of your furniture that you're keeping and the flooring, and we can start putting, I love dogs, by the way, but you can start putting, pictures with your furniture.
Okay. Oh, and so I could even change it to tile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On here, I guess I got to pick my color. Let's go gray.
You don't really need to pick your, you could.
Oh.
Yeah, this website, you could spend a lot of time on it. Okay, so you had shawl. For some reason, I just noticed shawl's not on there. But down at the bottom, uncheck that one. All right. Let me see what you're doing. Oh, engine.
Looking at a bunch of stuff now.
Okay.
But no, that was cool that you could go through, and I wonder if I've got something.
Unclick the gray, and let's see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it did show, I think you had me on hardwood, or I can always just wonder what happens if I just refresh the page, if it'll take me back to where I was. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So this is just different areas, in the house, and yeah, it's a pretty cool pretty interesting. And I love it because, like, I had a lady come in and her daughter lived in Colorado, and her daughter was trying to help her. And so we actually put all of her pictures up there and we FaceTimed the daughter. And so the daughter could see the different floors and how it looked in the house. And that was really cool because the daughter was like, yeah, Mom, that's which one you need to go with.
No, that's really cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I know kind of as we're starting to wind down, I know one that I love to talk about and focus on is that with leadership and personal growth. And so I just kind of chatting beforehand that you said one of the things that you like to do is to listen to podcasts, and that what you're listening to right now.
Mm-hmm. I just got back from market in Orlando. While y'all were here in the freeze, we were in Orlando. But anyway, there's a women's group. It is called Power. It's women in the flooring business. And it's just how to balance between like being a mom, being in the business, trying to juggle all the things. That's one of the things that they talk about. It also, being in the floor industry, it's more of a, I hate to say man's world because, you know, building, construction and all that is considered a man's world. So it just sort of teaches us how to adapt and how to, you know, make us known who, you know.
Right. And I was about to say, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with saying that it is a man's world, because typically it is. Typically it's the men who are in construction doing most of those jobs.
Yeah.
And that's one that I think you're doing a phenomenal job at, you know, leading in the world. I mean, even just from, I thought the story starting from, I was just the secretary. I was just the one, I just needed money while I was off of college, and now I own the business.
Yeah.
It's such a cool story that and it's very inspiring for people to hear that, you know what, if you get together and you'd stick to something and you're willing to learn, you're not afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
That they can do the same thing. And your journey is your journey. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
Right.
So I'm ecstatic that you got on here and shared all this information with us, Vicki.
It's sort of like a reality, I guess. It's sort of like, I just think I'm a, you know, floor store person, but no, I'm an owner and I'm getting stuff done.
Absolutely. And so, Vicki, that kind of the last question I'm going to ask that before we go about how do people get in touch with you is, was there anything that I should have asked you that maybe I didn't ask you?
I'm going to tell you a story, and I don't know if, well, it's actually a blend of a story. So way back whenever I first started, a truck pulled in with 3 rolls of carpet on it. And we had a forklift with a pole, you know, 12-foot pole on it. And I was like, I don't know how to unload that. So the truck driver came a couple of times, you know, and he would unload it. And so on a Friday afternoon, he had some returns. And he said, get on the forklift. And I was like, no. He said, I'm going to teach you how to do this. These are all returns. There's about 3 rolls, all returns. So it doesn't matter. He said, got on the forklift, and I unloaded all 3 of the rolls, and I put them on the side and got another one, put it on the side, got another one, put it on the side. And he said, okay, now load it back. So I loaded it back. And I was like, I can do it. He's like, yes, now you can unload carpet out of the truck. So that is not a challenge for you anymore. So yeah, it was a joke, but it was, I wish I knew that guy's name because I was like, he had faith in me that I could do it. And it was nice.
And that's a cool one. How important it is for your attitude about things. If you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Henry Ford said it best.
Yeah.
And so
Vicki, I don't know if there's anything else.
Well, how do I tell everybody to get in touch with you? If they're looking to get in touch with you, how do they reach out to Vicki?
They can visit our website at www.hubbardflooringstudio.com. We have an awesome showroom at 11880 Boylan Avenue It's off of Exchequer in the Industrial Plex. Or they can call me at 225-924-1582.
Yeah, and guys, all of that information is in the description listed below. Then I'll make sure to even put in the address. That if you hadn't been there, a super cool place to go and visit and just see what all Vicki has to offer. Vicki, I appreciate you spending a little time and connecting with us here on the Clark Connection podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again. What an awesome episode. I tell you, I learned a lot from Vicki right there. And it was just such a truly amazing story to go through and listen and hear what she had to talk about. And so a couple of key takeaways that we have. That is one thing that she talked about was the customer, the commercial, how important it is that to give customer service and good customer service. It's one of the keys. She talks about building the relationship with the customer and how essential that is for your success, making them feel comfortable, and then tailoring what you're doing while you're working with your customers. And then on top of that, she talked about how to use technology. Make sure you're using technology to enhance their experience, to give them the best customer service possible. That way they want to come back to you and not go out looking for another bigger box store or something like that, to work with your local businesses. She also talked about the importance of continuous learning and being willing to ask questions. And it didn't matter what field you're in. That is one I think is huge for all of us, is don't be afraid to ask questions and admit that you don't know. And then I just loved how she talked about the persistence and sticking with it and staying with it to go from being just a temporary job. It was supposed to just be a summer job. To now she is the owner of Hubbard Flooring Studios. And so look, guys, if you're looking for leadership or personal growth training and coaching, it could be for you, it could be for your team, it could be for your event. Reach out to me. I would love to be able to help you on your journey and to inspire you. Look, all of my contact information is listed below. And make sure that you've liked and subscribed to the Clark Connection podcast. And so remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I will see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_a_clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.